Peace, what's going on? I'm J. Rod D.
And I'm G.
You now tuned into the Poet Life Podcast,
Hosted by none other than
Nuance. Special guest in the building today.
Yeah.
Some of y'all may have seen
You got no
the news.
question?
She was on the news the other day doing it.
Man, what?
Poet extraordinaire, new to the show. We're gonna find out more about her as we go along. Let's give a round of applause for Miss Brighter Love. Circle around. What's going on, Chad? So what's going on? So Miss Brighter Love, how are you today?
I'm amazing. I'm so glad to be here. I've been listening, so to know now I'm finally here, I'm so honored. So thank you.
Welcome, man. How you feeling today? Everything good with you? How you doing? Everybody straight?
Everything straight. I had some kombucha this morning. I had a lot of energy. I had some coffee. It was a great day.
Kombucha.
Yeah, I got my little enzymes and whatnot.
No, sound real exquisite.
It gets your body right. It gets your alignment.
It gets you right.
Yeah.
All right.
So we want to talk about
Let's
today,
step over it.
Miss Brighter Love. We want to get into legacy, right? For the most part, I think we'll get into a lot more within the show, but I want to focus on legacy, being that a lot of things are going on right now within the world. So first, let's start with who you are, Miss Brighter Love. Who are you? Where are you from?
I am Grada Love. I'm from Prince George's County. I grew up in Greenbelt, then Largo. So I even actually went to middle school and elementary school in Capitol Heights. So tag program will bust you out, So I started writing in middle school at Walker Mill. Well, I've been writing as a kid, but like in middle school, that was when I started like freestyling with the guys.
Okay.
And I had a teacher who like got us hip to rap lyrics. We listened to Tupac and we analyzed lyrics.
Okay.
So that was really cool. And then from there, I would just write to express myself. And one of my friends, Nicole, I remember I was, performing in class. And she's like, Chantel, you always got this whack rhyme scheme. And I used to be like, and now I'm performing with my whack rhyme scheme. So I'm like, so from there, I just kept writing. And I think I got away from it because I got so focused on career. And I'm like, okay, like I started off an accounting major. And I was like, I need to write. So I ended up switching to journalism and communications. And my dad was like, he was like, you talk too much. You need to get paid for it. So, that's how I got there.
It's a few things you said, especially when it comes to the origin of where you start, how you write. You say you're a teacher. Now, I'm a teacher, and I did the same thing in my class. We dissected J. Cole's KOD album.
Yes!
Dissected some Pac lyrics. So, can you describe that experience and how it influenced or affected your progression as a writer?
So, to be honest, I think it was new for me to see like a black male teacher, and it was it made my experience much more rich because it was like having my uncle or brother teaching me this whole new world. And it I actually reached out to him on Facebook, and I was like, you pretty much are the reason I'm here because you empowered my voice and you showed me that my story is important. And as a child, you kind of want people to hear what you're going through because you don't want to go through it alone. Although most times children are left to deal with certain emotions alone or they're silenced. And I think that experience just empowered the voices of all of us in the classroom as young black students going through different things in life.
Yeah. That's cool. I had a teacher like that. It was kind of like, this is your safe space to be yourself type deal.
Yeah.
I think that's very important, man, because especially with this younger generation and the identity or like the lack of confidence in identity or identity crisis that they may be going through, especially as they, grow from like preteen to teens and on the questions that they may have that nobody else can answer, being that you can express yourself and be yourself in that element. I'd be like, I can't wait to go to school. That makes them want to go to school. That's good. I like that. That's powerful, man.
So many changes happen during that. And I think it helps, having somewhere to express yourself helps you get more comfortable with change. And the more comfortable you can get with change, the more effective you can be in life because you're going to have to adapt regardless.
I mean, change is inevitable. That's what they say.
Yes.
So, we're here. But legacy, man, when I think of legacy, right, the word that, like, the automatic, like, thing that comes to mind is like what you leave behind. That's like the automatic thing. Legacy. What was left behind for me, and whether it was good, bad, whatever. How can I take that and make it better?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's how I feel like legacy. That's what comes to mind for me. You know, I think it's important us as individuals, if we are creating this thing of an art form, or even like to take it deeper for your families and all that stuff. You want to have something that, but when you leave this place called Earth, you want your legacy to live on forever. Whether it be through your words, whether it be through your demeanor, how you was as a poet, how you was as a person.
Yes.
Whether it be with like how you made people feel. That's big to me. How I make people feel makes me feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. So my legacy has to line up into, I want to make people make sure they feel like they're loved, they're understood, they're heard. You know what I mean? And that's what like I think the poetic side of legacy to me means. So, what does that when y'all think of legacy, what does that sound like, or what comes to mind for you?
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to put your special guest?
So like studying lyrics in school and studying certain poets and writers, or just coming across certain stories, I've always said that I want my poetry to be studied in schools one day. Like I want people to buy like 7 to 10 and have a little like book club and stuff like that, and just kind of go deeper into it. So that's one of my goals. Also, just to empower voices that are otherwise not heard and not given, just given permission in a way. Like I think sometimes we're not given permission to speak. We're expected to be quiet and timid, and as a woman, you're expected to be a certain way, and it's like, no, it's okay. Break down the layers, break down the pain, get through it, do the work. It's okay. Yeah. So my legacy, I want to empower women and young people to speak and not be afraid of opinions, because opinions will come, but just still feel safe to speak.
Yeah, create that space.
Yeah.
So when I think of legacy, I think of what you leave behind. Again, I agree with you on that. Like, what you leave behind, I think that can be a lasting impression. That can be your works. That can be your words. I think as a poet, and as far as what I would like to leave behind is my words and my works. And my lasting impression, I guess I want to embody that. I want to leave behind, like, I'm just thinking about what's going on now, and it's like, man, if I can be on that kind of level in any kind of way, that'll be a good enough legacy for me. But I want to do more than that, because the blueprint was already set. So why not push the envelope and do more? And I think just being more industrious can help bring your legacies to fruition. And it's good that you asked that question, because I want to get to like kind of like the meaning behind, like, and you actually touched on it earlier. You said what you wanted to end up doing, how you see the future and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you a vision, like as far as when you started writing poetry. What did you see this becoming? Like was it just a hobby when you felt you had to express yourself, when you couldn't really speak as much, or was it like you know what, I really want to? When did it get to the point where you wanted to have your poetry studied in schools?
I know the intimate feeling I feel when I like touch a book and I'm like sitting alone in a library, or it's an intimate experience. And I think just knowing what poets have made me feel, and what black writers have made me feel, and even not even black writers in general, like the things that we can do with words for another person. That's when I knew. I was like, I want somebody to feel that through. I want all the emotion that I put into the writing, I want you to feel that when you read it, or when you speak it out loud. Like I walk around with my Maya Angelou book around my apartment, just saying her poems. There's this one poem, 7 women's, I think Blessed Assurance, but it's just like 7 different women's stories, basically about still being, I might be skinny, I might be fat, I might be tall or short, but still I have something powerful that attracts people, and I'm still just as beautiful. And I think that feeling is what I go for. Please remind me of what else you said, because
just the vision overall. Like when you first started out, I know you said it was just the purpose or reason why you did it was for a reason. And then you said after a while you want to get to the point where you said poetry stayed in books. I want to know how your vision expanded, how it changed. Was it the same thing in the beginning?
No.
Okay.
Started off as expression.
Mm.
It started off as hiding my journal, being like, okay, I just
Yeah.
wrote this, and my parents. I wrote in the beginning of the book, which I'll give you all a
Okay.
copy.
Great.
About how my parents stayed up late listening to finished and unfinished poems.
Mhm.
And then later on, I realized that, like, working in a high school now, I see the healing that happens with writing. And then it became to the point, my vision, ultimately, I'm always afraid to say certain visions out loud. But yeah, I've written goals out to have a community center for children of the arts. And I'm not going to give y'all my timeline, but
yeah,
you know,
of course,
it's,
that's
you know,
that's you.
and that's just, and I keep coming across people with similar mindsets.
Right.
And yeah, that has been my vision, because seeing a lot of violence, or just seeing a lot of pinned up stuff in people, I can sense it when I'm in the presence of a young person who is holding something. And when they break down the layers, it's a beautiful thing. And I think the arts is really what gives them that healing.
That word does something to me.
Which one?
Healing. Healing. You know?
I'm not going to get emotional today. No, I'm not.
Nah,
just
thing.
like-
Do you?
Yeah, like,
Please
this
express yourself. Be yourself.
Let me let you know something, Miss Carla. You at the crib. So we like to embody that feeling of do you, be yourself.
Yes.
You know? But that term healing, you know, it's been on my mind lately, and how we heal, right? Legacy should be a form, like what you leave behind should be a form of healing, I feel. Like what your affirmations that you give people just by being yourself, part of that should embody healing.
Okay.
You know, when people come into your space, or you come into their space, they should feel a certain sense of peace and not chaos, because life has enough of that, right? So I think us, as you know, the Poet Life and God of Love or Nuance, however you want to pull it, when we enter a room, the beginning of how legacy starts is with the now, is with the known, is with the feel, is with the groove that I say, like that's one of my words. But and it's an element of authenticity, healing. When you say things like healing and peace and love, like the places that we go, you hear people say that in exchange, like a greeting or a farewell, you know. But when we say that to ourselves, we say that through our poetry, not just the literal words, but what we're saying and what we're writing, it's a sense of peace. It's a sense of healing, because writing is healing. It's like expressing yourself as poets is healing. And for the audience members, it's a form of healing, because you don't know what those people came to get. You know, last year we was talking about like how open mics or like poetry nights or anything can be similar, like what is that? Synonymous with church. You know, and not to bring that thing on there, but it's true though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's true though, because when you and then we've all been there. You had a event where you was a key speaker or whatever, and you did your thing, and somebody came up to you and said thank you, or somebody came up to you and said wow, like I just that spoke to me. That goes back to the very first episode. That right there is compensation. That it says I'm on the right track with my gift. I'm doing something with this thing, because even before we say anything, we pray, we meditate, we say if we can reach at least one, right? At least one person, then we've done our job.
Yeah.
Cool. That's all you need. But healing, bro.
You gotta do the word.
Healing.
Woo.
Powerful.
What was it like? And I don't want you to go. You don't gotta go back to the very first time. But what's it like now? Having established what you established for yourself and accomplished your for yourself. What's it like now to have people come to you and say, "Yo, your poems really helped me out," or "Your performance really did something for me"? What's that effect like now? Being that you know what you know and you've grown and you understand and it's new and your feelings are more deeper. You know, how does that hit you?
Well, I did this poem. It's about my nephew. He's only
Okay.
5, but I did this poem. I went to an event when it was teachers there, so I brought him with me, and he's only 5. So doing the poem and speaking life into him and seeing him in the audience, like I cried. So then afterwards, the teachers are like, "Wow, you know that was really powerful," and it was a beautiful moment to have. You know, when your muse is right there in the audience, all those emotions that you had when you first wrote it are right there. And knowing that other people can feel what I felt and what I was trying to put out, because sometimes your messages aren't received the way you intend for them to be received. So when when it lands the way it's supposed to, it's, I don't know, I get overwhelmed with like gratitude and compassion for not just myself but for the other person who has been through something similar, or compassion for the fact that they had to be broken down in order to build themselves back up to however I had to do it and they had to do it. Like, it's the connection and through compassion and empathy.
Yeah. So what about when it doesn't land?
So I have this poem. I was telling Lucky, I have this poem called Last Love. And I wrote it snot nose crying about a lover. And my grandma told me, oh yeah, snot nose. I called him right after and recited it to him.
Oh Lord!
Like, since you picked the hello and you started going,
You need to hear this.
Because we just got off the phone and I wrote the poem and I was
Okay.
and then I was like, listen, I just wrote a poem and I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
But my grandma, the way she receives it is God talking to us. And so I was like, what, grandma? That was about my boo. And then, but I think it's beautiful though. Like, interpretation and perception, it's a beautiful thing because either way they're receiving it, however they were meant to. So although we might be vessels with all these words and messages, people receive it the way they're meant to and the way it's supposed to land. I don't believe that somebody can interpret something wrong.
That's scary. That's
It's through
that's
your
scary.
lens.
That's an interesting point, but it's scary because my theory is the outcome of what I don't want to happen with somebody receiving it the wrong way of that happening. So I relate it to communication. Like, if I'm communicating a message to G and I communicate it, if one thing is off, he can get what I say the completely different way of what I'm trying to say, and it can affect like our bond, our relationship, our friendship, or something like that, or hoping we're late.
But
I didn't think
I
about
think that goes to show how strong that person is listening to.
Okay.
Like, are you listening? Are you an active listener? Or are you listening to reply? I'll be real with you. A lot of times I listen to reply because that stubbornness makes me want to finish the conversation versus listening to understand what you're actually saying. So for me, like, we've had them bouts before. Where we'll be like, no, that's not what I mean, G. Like, you gotta listen. And I'm like, I gotta take a step back and breathe. Like, you know what? Feel that. Yeah, that's real. But that it's choosing to listen. Listening is a choice.
Yeah,
it is. Like, you choose to be an avid. When you're an avid listener, that means that you have decided to give your attention to what that person is saying, no matter how small, no matter how big. So when you, what is the what is her name? Fannie Lou Hamer. I think she was the one that said, like, if you're, and she's told this to Nikki Giovanni, if I'm not mistaken. She was like, if you are bored, you're not paying attention. Right?
I feel that.
So I was like,
definitely.
That blew my mind, and I may be like referencing the wrong person. God forgive me if I am.
Fannie Lou Hamer. I don't know who she was talking to. I'm trying to think about Nikki Giovanni. I don't know, but
I hope, man, she's a predominant person, but I'm gonna get mad if I don't do this. But no, she's saying, like, if you don't
so much sense.
If you're bored, you're not paying attention.
Like, you ever sit in class and you think you're bored, like, or in a meeting. A meeting is where I try not to get bored, so I pay attention to the people, and like, I look at body language. I'm like, oh, so it helps.
I'm slow. Not Fannie Lou Hamer. Macy Jameson.
Oh.
Jameson, yeah.
Oh.
First black actress.
Gotcha.
And that blew my mind.
That
blew my mind, right? Fannie Lou Hamer is just like a mother activist. I'm sorry, mom. Sorry, grandma. Sorry, all. You Black women.
We getting Facebook responses.
But yeah, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I feel you though.
Listen.
If you're bored, you're not paying attention.
If you're bored, you're not. Does that not like strike y'all so crazy?
Because you're not present.
It's a
Exactly,
choice.
It's a choice.
When you're bored,
It's so
you
simple.
chose to not pay attention.
Yeah.
Like in class, in
Mhm.
church, in a conversation, like
You're not receiving what you're supposed to get from the moment.
right. How are you supposed to be in that moment if you're not in the moment?
Yeah.
Like, yo.
That's true.
And then what does that say to people about you?
Mm-hmm.
Tying it back to the thing of the show. Like, see, when people speak on your name, what would they say? Oh, yeah, he was about himself. She was about herself. Like, she wasn't really, that supportive. Or will they say anything that I said or anything that we had a conversation about was a safe space with them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt valued around them. I felt respected. I felt heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the thing of, legacy starting now. Like, what do your daily acts say about the legacy that you want to leave? That faithful over few mindset comes to mind, too. If you be faithful over just listening, faithful over this, the gentle acts of strengthening your characteristics. Like, if you lack in something, how can I get better? You know what I mean? I ask myself that a lot lately. How can I get better? What am I not paying attention to? Or if I'm bored, I'm like, what should I be paying attention to?
Right.
Because that saying really blew my mind. If you're bored, you're not paying attention. What?
I have to put that up in my
You're that on a sticker, on a
Right.
shirt, on a hat,
Yes.
put it on the tattoo.
I'm gonna put it in my office.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, it blows your mind with the things that we kind of take for granted and the people we take for granted and the perspectives. Like, if somebody could be saying something that you needed to hear, but if you chose not to listen, you
You'd
just
have
missed
missed
out on a whole meal of things that could have fed you. You know? Whew. Power. Yeah, man.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Check this out, right?
They're gonna enjoy that.
And I think it's a good segue too. So I want to talk about your technique for a second, right? Your technique, because I know you said you start off. Well, I want to pigeonhole it.
The technique.
In class, teacher, poems, dissect. All right, bet we got that. Check. Here now. What's your technique? Oh, you also said your friend said you had the round scene.
Right.
So
Oh,
is
it's
it
still whack.
So-
According to her.
what's your technique when it comes to writing and delivery? What's your approach? Like, is it? Well, I'll let you explain. I'll let you explain.
I used to put a lot of pressure on it, but then I realized, like, I don't know. Sometimes I really do feel like I'm a vessel, and I'm like almost in a trance, like, and it's just I gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. Or if I just had a conversation with someone, and whatever emotions they're feeling, I'm feeling it. Like, that's where a lot of my material comes from, like conversations and being present and paying attention to people and paying attention to their emotions. And maybe they can't verbalize the story, but I can. Or I can, like, let it flow. So most times my technique is just, and I hate to say it and make it seem like I'm not putting intention into it. Because I have poet friends who are like, I don't know how y'all write a poem in a day. It take me 5 weeks. And I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes it just flows through. And I don't feel the need to break it down too much because sometimes it comes out the way it's intended to.
Yeah.
But there are some times when I do conceptualize it. I'll say, like, for example, the last poem in the book is Open Mic Therapy. And that one came to me because growing up, I would go to AA meetings with my grandma. And, like, I'm, like, young and hearing the stories and being around them. And just, like, now as an adult going back, I see just how they come together. And it's like church. It's like a therapy session. So I literally thought that out, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good one. I gotta get it out. One day it's gonna come, and one day it just came."
You know what's crazy? We had referenced that poem on the show one day.
Yeah.
What?
When the same episode he's talking about open mics being like church, we had used that poem as like a reference
Yes.
for
Oh
what
my
the
goodness.
discussion was about. So it's good to have it on the show.
It's definitely
Yes.
Now that's good because I always want to know how different writers do their thing. I listen to rappers, how some rappers freestyle everything. Some rappers voice memo sounds. Some
I
rappers
do that
write-
in the car
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Some rappers will have a notebook. You know what I mean? So when it comes to poetry, I would imagine that it's similar techniques to how people do it. Would you say that majority of your work is inspiration,
Like inspired by others.
or just as far as what you just said, it's kind of like it's not like you're sitting down trying to craft it more, so like it just comes through, you write it out. So the majority of it is like that.
Yeah, or
Okay.
either I'm in the car and I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good start," or
Gotcha,
something.
gotcha.
And I have a lot of unfinished poems.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of this
For
data
sure.
on my phone is probably voice
We
memos.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
With you.
And I just be like, I need to get it out. Or I'm running in the house after work, like, oh, I need to get this out. And I literally carry a sketchbook because I draw too.
Okay.
So I have a sketchbook full
Yes.
of drawings. Yes, I drew it.
Okay.
There you go. We
Full
gonna
of
get to
like
that.
drawings and poetry. And it got to the point where I stopped drawing as much, and it just became a bunch of poems. And I was like, yeah, I'm a poet. I'm a poet at the very core of it.
That's that sauce, man. That's the best way to put it. That's that sauce, brother.
I just love
Can't
it.
deny it.
Mom, what's in the ingredients?
So,
That sauce.
you, question here with that?
Ingredients.
I want to know y'all
Oh,
technique.
Oh, you want to know?
I'm always intrigued by
Well,
that.
Mr. J. Robbie, what
Yeah.
is your technique on how you?
Let me turn it like.
It always starts off with an idea or a thought, kind of like a line, like a quick little bar, maybe something like
Oh man.
no time to play no games. I got a son now. I'd rather see him play on blocks than hold a block now. And I'm like, all right, that's a
Wow.
bar. How do I?
Yep.
And I sat on that for a little while, trying to figure out, what I want to say around this.
Oh yeah.
And then I looked, a lot of it, like you said, unfinished work, sheet move, piece it together, make a new poem, open and shut Case Johnson, right? That's what it is, right?
Nice.
Seriously, if you got unfinished
Boom,
poems,
boom,
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 put it
boom,
together.
boom.
A lot of our early nuance joints, was piece
to
up.
Yes.
Wow.
Up, yo, bro, I got this right here.
Then we could put that.
we can put this on the back end.
Ah.
And you say that one from the other joint. Yeah, we did it before. So I think even with the voice memos, with the voice memos too, what I was sending to him would be like, I would send him a voice memo and maybe I would use part of it for a poem we do together and then another half for another one that I'll do on my own. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it just utilizes what I have. So I think over a while I do it on my own technique, but it just starts off with like an idea or a bar, kind of like a main idea type thing. But I don't want to get too stuck on the main idea. I just want to focus on like what message I want to convey based off of that.
Yeah.
And it starts with it.
Yeah.
So it comes up maybe like quick inspiration. I might write like 16 sentences. I may do 2 sentences. I may record 2 minutes. I may record 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I got this idea from Dave Chappelle. I think it was Dave Chappelle, but he said he would put like his like jokes or like the whatever they say the
Punchline.
kicker, the punchline. He said he would put a bunch of them like in a jar, like in a sheet of paper,
Mhm.
and I would like write little stuff down. And now I have a little jar at home, so when I'm like in a writer's block or something, or I'm in a space that's not feeling inspired, I'm just like, let me see what's in here today.
That little cue
I'll
ball.
elaborate on that. Exactly.
Give me some poems.
So
give me
now
some-
I'm like, I'm gonna go home and start piecing together
yeah.
instead of like, okay, let
Oh.
me finish this. Yes.
Yeah, that's real. Cool, man.
He's helped me out a lot.
Right.
Together.
Put piece. That's
What would you
good.
do? What's your technique, man? How do you craft your stuff together, man? How do you?
It's a variety. Like it used to be, like a sentence that led into something, or just like a stanza that led into something, or like I used to be very observant. So I still am. I'll write very situational.
Mhm.
So it's like what I'm feeling or what's going on right now, either with me or what I see or something. Now it's like it's a mix of everything. If I think of something, I have to jot it down. Like my lady and I will be in the car, and if I'm driving, I'll just like, write this down real quick, and I'll say it, and then we'll just start going. So it becomes a conversation that leads into a poem.
Nice.
That leads into
That's
a
tight.
couple poems.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, cause she will call me bright early in the morning. Oh, babe, can I say this poem to you real quick? All right, bet. But I'm half asleep. But then what she would say would spark something to what I was trying to say a while ago.
Wow.
and we always battle of who said it first or who gets to steal this,
Oh, in
whatever.
love.
So it's like, all right, nah, man, it's a competition.
Oh my God.
We be beefing sometimes. Like, nah, I definitely said that, but
Who said this?
right,
Yeah.
who said it first?
Yeah.
You know. So you call dibs, and we used to do that.
Mm.
We used to call dibs on like who was gonna say what. Like Five Fingers was like, it will always, if it ever be, probably top 5 of the things that we will ever do or have done.
Mm.
You know, so it's
What's Five Fingers?
it's a poem that is very vicious, that is not family friendly. So
I'll see you at the next open mic.
I think we all saying the same thing, that I think we all can agree that inspiration is kind of like key to what we do.
Yeah.
Because I know for the most part, I want to designate time, like let's say be more structured, like a Tariq Turay, where he sets aside a few hours out of the day and writes like 600 words every day.
Wow.
And that's kind of like how he gets his poems and the book I did and stuff like that. And a lot of his stuff comes from that. And that's discipline, that's focus right there.
Yeah.
I want to get to that point one day, but I think now it's kind of like I'm on the go with it. Like I'm moving on the go. I think we all are kind of agreeing that it's kind of like that.
Yeah, it needs to be like that, man, because that chaos that we choose to move in, as far as like just writing something down and then trying to come back to it, if we can just channel that into something with a little bit more structure, same passion, same like spontaneity and all that, but put it somewhere and then sit with it.
We would have more finished pieces, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Like,
Yeah.
If I had more time in my day, I would have way more finished.
But that's the thing, though. You make time for the things you want, right?
That is true.
So some things may have to be sacrificed, and we like.
Mm.
I can't remember where the conversation came from, but like the order of your day is once again a choice. You choose to wake up at the time that you choose to wake up at. You choose to eat at the time that you choose to eat. You choose to sleep. You choose to call whoever. You choose to listen to whatever at whatever given
Let's not
time.
take up your time.
You know, I'm not saying that you got to walk around with a schedule all the time, but routine is made by habit.
Yes.
You know, so if we get in the habit of, hey, at this time, if I could just dedicate starting out with a half hour, sitting there and just probably going through old poems,
Yeah.
or listening to other people's poems. I am an advocate of studying your craft,
Yes.
and if you want to add an extra layer to it, don't just add it without studying that layer. Like a pet peeve of mine, if I'm real, is that when people add like music, like vocally, they want to sing,
Oh, that happens far too often.
right?
Oh.
And you don't practice or study singing to establish your voice. One thing that we gotta stop doing as writers and poets and artists is trying to sound like somebody else. Your voice was your voice when you were born.
Yes.
Use what God gave you.
Hashtag message.
Message.
You know what I mean? Like that's real though.
That's really
And
real.
like coming from a family of singers and like legit vocalists, and
Wow.
I'm talking different genres.
Oh wow.
Like it's important. So that's like, you know, somebody who plays basketball really good, and all of a sudden one of your homies like, I'm about to be pro too.
Yeah.
But he's trash.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
Confidence on 6,000 though.
he watches the game,
Uh-huh.
you know, but when it's time to put in the work and you pass that man the ball and he don't know what to do with it, make it rain.
Make it rain.
You know what I'm saying?
Bricks.
Right.
Right? or like, okay, to make it more women centered too, because I love how, you know what I'm saying, super women are as far as like black women. Hair. You love to do hair, you love to style your hair with any kind of way. Your homegirl says, "Oh girl, I'll do hair."
You want us to
do
put
that.
your homegirl so
You-
bad.
What you want? You
And
want
you gotta go to work on Monday. I
Right.
gotta go to work.
So you trusting her with your scalp.
Oh, sis.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? It takes practice and like,
Develop your craft.
develop your craft. It's
Touch my
important.
hand.
So if you want to add that layer, before you add that layer, practice that layer.
Yes.
Master that layer. And then let's get to the get down.
I feel that because sometimes I have to take distance with open mics. Like, I love going to open mic and being inspired by people. But then when I feel myself getting into, I work so hard to like not have a certain predictable cadence, and I feel like that is one of my biggest difficulties as a poet. It's like I don't want to be predictable every time.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I do want to keep doing these same poems because I gotta advertise this book. So, so the book is titled Brave New Soul. That came to me because yes, commercial.
There you go, Brave New Soul.
Because
Are you brave?
we need to know.
Do you have a soul? Does it make you feel new?
Does it?
Brave New Soul.
Brave
We
new
want
soul.
to know.
By written and illustrated.
What's the lady name from Price is Right?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know, but
what's
I
her
need
name?
this commercial. Can I have this footage?
Vanna White. You gotta Vanna White this thing. You know?
Where'd you get this?
I'm Vance White. Vance
Yes,
White.
of course.
Where'd you get this done?
It's published by Sugar Brand.
Sugar Brand.
Sugar Brand.
Yes,
Awesome.
LLC.
Sugar Brand.
Sugar.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. LLC, right?
Shout out to
That's the
Sugar
front.
Magazine,
Sugar
monthly
Magazine.
publication
So
Where can they find it?
Sugar Brand and
on my website,
Are they-
GrottoLove.com.
GrottoLove.com, y'all.
She got a website.
How much is?
It is $12 a month.
Only
Only
$12.
$12. It's copywritten. It's color illustrated. And wait,
Yes.
so Sugar Brand and Sugar Magazine are the same people?
Y'all see that
Sugar
shit?
Brand
Get to the
creates
center part right
Sugar
there.
Magazine.
Get into that center part.
So is it like a publishing site? Is it like a
I'm sorry.
It's like-
how does that work? Is it kind of like you're
Yes.
signed with them, or is it like a self-publishing thing, or
So I am the editor-in-chief of Sugar Magazine. So Sugar Brand
Legacy.
is the LLC.
Okay,
I'm just sitting here like
Yeah, so we publish books now. Yeah.
that's great.
If you- listen.
Legacy.
Shout out to Sugar.
Shout out to
Love
Sugar.
If you
y'all. We have
tired of
great
people
writers. It's amazing.
writing your books,
That's should.
editing your books, illustrating your books, go on over to GrottoLove.com.
You know what?
You know,
Send me a DM.
you
Talk
know,
to us.
and get your brave new soul on.
Yes.
You know,
Explain
for
to us.
$12.
Like just all right. So when did you start Sugar? We said it's Sugar, right? Sugar.
Yes.
Sugar.
When did you start Sugar? It's
So
LLC.
it started
Sugar
before me.
Brand.
I'm not like one of the like original founders. I just
Okay.
kind of came in later on. Probably about it was probably a year and some change into it. I became the editor in chief. So I studied journalism and public relations.
Cool.
So writing is my first love,
Right.
and I manage a team of writers for the magazine. And it's like holistic hotties. That's what we call ourselves. So it's like, a bunch of like crystals, horoscopes, different techniques of getting through life. For May, we're talking about finances. Because certain things you go through as young women, and
Yeah,
just
need
like,
that.
how are we supposed to manage all this money we got all of a sudden with this salary? Like, it comes out of nowhere. And all of a sudden you're eating good, you're traveling good, but where the savings? What the savings look like? So yeah, we just tackle different topics that matter. But yeah, so Brave New Soul was like the evolving of Grotto Love. Period is just that stage name is the evolving woman that I am, and just like there's Sasha Fierce and there's all these other alter ego names, Grotto Love became mine because it was just like, this is how I document my womanhood in a way through poetry. And the butterfly just symbolizes how, I feel like I was once a caterpillar in a cocoon with my poetry, like just writing in my cocoon, don't tell nobody. And then now I'm just like slowly spreading my wings as a butterfly and being blessed to do it.
Well, I believe we've come to that portion of the show.
It's time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at that portion of the show where we ask our illustrious guests, illustrative guests,
Illustrative.
if you could be so kind. It don't even got to be from here. If you want to pocket these poems.
Give you something special.
But if you got something for the people to
Something for the people.
just ponder on. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Miss Grotto Love.
I just go into
Go into it.
Alright. You tell his stories, but don't see him. Let him dance across your line graphs for the culture. Leave his name in your Excel sheet, then add him to the masses. Pie charts and statistics tell the story of a misfit. But where'd you leave the true consequences? Of habits passed down from tribes to Harlem to bloodlines, addictive personalities and alcoholism disease rising in streams, saying what do you use to feed him and water his budding personality? Let it rain bullets in the hood, then let it rain water in the hood. May it wash away the blood so that the children don't see, as if the children don't see with their spirits. Using dead souls to morph into toy bodies should give the children hobbies paired with their own imagination. But instead you just give them blonde Barbies to play with. Or Batman or Superman, the hero. Although they relate more to the villain because you made children out to be the villain. Call them bad as if it is an adjective of their being. Call them blind, dumb, and stupid, but it's you who can't see them. Watching data break down communities, knowing the facts for the fun of it. Judging the child's behavior, not knowing he's the son of it. Shining bright in life just to find the sun in it. A smile ain't so easy to come by these days. Yet you found ways to profit off of his pain and his joy. See him as nothing but a boy. But let boy become man, and if you can't put guns or drugs in his hands, then you make sure to drop a ball or a microphone. Only 3 categories fit his trajectory. But there are some things in life that even you can't fight. And that's love. Because good always wins and his story shall spin. So don't put chains on my child because you don't even know him. You haven't danced with his spirit, seen him cry from absence, tell you he loves you when he senses pain. You don't even know his name. So don't tell me what he's destined to be. Because only he can choose his destiny. Thank you.
Whew.
On that note,
Man,
I'm J. Rod D.
what happened? What just happened? I'm G, apparently.
And let's
Can we
once
just...
again, can we
I need a moment. I need a moment, bro.
One
She
thing.
said make it rain bullets.
Thank you for
thank
having
you again. And you welcome to come by anytime.
Okay.
Please be a
I'm
guest.
high.
Come, be a regular, please.
Y'all forgot how it
Y'all
works.
got me. Y'all got me.
I need to get high. My mama watching.
I feel like this conversation
How?
we've really been at it for like it's been like an hour, close to an hour now.
Wow, this was just so like
I told you.
chill. It
An hour. So
What it take?
let's try to get a part 2. Let's get a part 2. That's cool. Part 2.
Okay, follow up.
Get
Yes.
the follow up.
We're gonna get into this book.
We can get to the book. We can get to some
Ah.
poems. I
We're
think
gonna
we
get
didn't even
into
crack the
this.
surface yet. I feel
Yeah.
like we need to
And
get.
those are for you, so y'all can dive in.
She came very gifts.
Before G has a heart attack, we gonna do it like this. I'm J. Rod D.
I'm G.
And you tuned into the Before Life Podcast.
What's about to happen, man?
Peace, y'all. Have a good day, man. Have a good evening, afternoon.